Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know, yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show, yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know, yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show, yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know, yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show, yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know, yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show, yeah.
Yo, dude.
Yo. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I had my volume like all the way up. You just scared the shit out of me. What's up, man?
Yes. No, good. I have the good mic today.
Right on. Sounds crispy.
I don't know if you listened to last week's pod, but Drago had added a pretty cool like interstitial for the Rizzle news section. So
no, I didn't.
I saw some Rizzle news on the timeline earlier today that I know you can talk about at least. So you want to kick things off with Rizzle news?
Rizzle news, da-da.
Yeah, I'm stoked, man. We'll do the Rizzle news. I got accepted to be a MC/moderator at NFC Lisbon, or NFC Summit in Lisbon, which I'm honestly stoked about, man. I've done that thing in real life a couple times. I did it with Polygonal Minds at NFT Crossroads. I basically hosted that whole thing. So I'm pretty comfortable on the mic, man. And with like, looking at the ticket price, I'm like, shit, dude, I don't want to pay like $600 plus the flight and hotel and everything to get out to this thing. So let me see if I can talk my way into giving them to give me a mic and getting a ticket. And so it worked, man. And I'm pretty stoked. Like I said, I don't mind doing that kind of thing, and I actually enjoy it a lot of times. And I have no idea what exactly I'm going to be doing in that capacity. It was just like, we accept you to do this. Do you accept? And I was like, yep. So whatever it is, I'm gonna do it. And my travel is already booked and everything, so I needed to figure out how I'm going to get into the conference somehow. And so I did it. Honestly, man, was thinking back to our conversation like a long time ago when Luke from Non-Fungible was like, hey, why don't you guys ask for press passes when you go to those things?
Yep.
And I was initially looking for that because I was like, I can Rizzle report on these things. I've done that in the past, but I didn't see anything for a press pass. But I saw something for MCs and moderators. I was like, all right, that's my ticket in, I think, hopefully. So shout out Luke for Non-Fungibles for putting the backdoor ways into these conferences on our radar. But also, I mean, these are what those things are for too. Like, we are those things. We just sometimes forget we are.
Yeah, and for the Non-Fungible conference, aka NFC Summit, normally most conferences I just avoid all these panels and talks. At Non-Fungible conference is really different. Like, there are multiple concurrent talks going on. So depending on like the flavor of the space that you like, if you're more into art or a specific type of art, you're going to have a panel for you. But beyond that, the moderators and the panels themselves, they're not just talking heads on a platform. It's super interactive with the audience. And last year they had like Pepe panels, so red or green Pepe panels the moderators were really good about bringing the audience in and literally up on stage with the rest of the speakers, kind of making the conversation three-dimensional. So you're perfect for it. So looking forward to that.
Dude, me too, man. I said, I know a little bit about everything, so they could probably throw me in anywhere. But I did say, like, the crypto art scene is really, where I began in this particular space. And, one of the things I'm most passionate about that would be featured at NFC Summit. So I'm down to do the thing, man. And have heard the same thing, man. That's why I booked my travel like way in advance this year, just trying to get ahead of it. Like that, and I know that was a good decision already, man. Just with the inbound and replies of people saying that they're going to be out in Lisbon, and I'm like just so stoked to meet like so many people that I've never gotten a chance to meet in real life that I've known for like many years, and I heard the same thing about the conference, man. I like for the last like several years, I've quote unquote gone to conferences, but like really just not even buying a ticket. Like if I don't get in free somehow, I just go to the side events because the last time I actually bought a ticket, that's mostly what I ended up doing anyway. But have heard good things about this one, man, and it's cool to be on the inside of it. And yeah, man, I don't know, I'm stoked. This is like a whole new thing. I've never been to Portugal, never been to NFC Summit, never met a lot of these people before, and everything. MCing is probably the only familiar territory of what I'm going to do out there.
No, it's going to be a good time. So that's super cool. Any other Rizzle news that you're able to publicly share? I know that was the big one in the timeline that I was referring to.
Yes, dude, there is Rizzle news that is still behind the scenes going on. We got some big WIP news, man. That is a piece of this Rizzle news. I'm not sure if we're like quite ready to share that yet, but we've been like sort of teasing it for a couple weeks and talking about it behind the scenes. But maybe we like wait to unveil that one a little bit, man. But I don't know. This is like a tough situation I've been in for like a few weeks now because I've got like some cool things cooking behind the scenes. The WIP has some cool things cooking behind the scenes, but all these are like still simmering right now and probably not quite right to plate, but things are happening, man, and it's on top of the market just going wild. So it's an exciting time to be like up in the mix here.
Yeah, aka we're bringing Rizzle news back at least next week for the soon to be announced Rizzle news. So all right, I don't know if we need to fade out of this Dragonate, but I trust your judgment.
I really need to hear this intro, outro, or whatever. I'll check out the old podcast.
No, it's always worth a listen because Drago adds all these Easter eggs in the form of audio snippets throughout. It's really fun to actually go back in.
Dude, I like sort of have a thing of like, I don't know, I hate listening to myself, even though I've gotten like more comfortable with it at times. So I very rarely go back and like re-listen to things, except for the very beginning, man, when I was like just new to podcasting and everything, and I was just like sort of paranoid about how I was coming off, and so I would like, listen to the episodes we recorded and like, and now I'm like, fuck it, man, let it fly. But now knowing Dragonate's slipping some things in there, that's gonna make me circle back.
Yeah. Other cool thing I think the flag like on our end, pods.media/Mars. People have been collecting our episodes, the 2 episodes that we've uploaded so far. Yeah. Shout out Brookhawk, Dragonate, Easy and Crypto, Snail, Gerbils, aka Luke, Smashing Lassies, and 0x Lucas. They're top 10 collectors, plus a few Anons in the mix there. Oh, aka I see you in the 4th position, Rizzle. No, but that's been cool to see folks actually collect it, and it sends some crypto dust our way, which is also quite cool. But I think from last week, I did a fake Rizzle attempt at spinning up some AI art for cover art just to make the covers differentiated. Yeah. I'm excited for you to spin it up today, though. Like, you're much better and you have better tools than I was just using like Canvas basic ass AI generator, taking some themes that we talked about last year to get a background, and then using the No Shot designed the Matthew and Rizzle Show logo on top of that. But yeah, I thought it looked pretty cool. And it's a good way to keep our heritage, but also differentiate the covers now that people actually are collecting these episodes, which is pretty cool.
Dude, you were like mad ruthless with the time frame for collectors last time around. By the time I got to post in the podcast, there was only like 2 hours left. It must have been open for like 24 hours or something like that. And Luke had like just managed to slide in and grab one. I was like, damn, Matt, not playing around with the scarcity here.
Yeah, no, but that's been cool, and again, it's so much easier even than Anchor to publish, and then you get the immediate feedback with the collectors, and it's dope. It's a really strong project, and they just didn't realize it, should have realized it, but since everything like the collecting is on chain, there's a Dune dashboard that's showing like the weekly collecting on there, and it seems like Pods.media is going up and to the right, so we hitched our show to the right ship at the right time.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm all about people consuming content in the way that is most like, easy for them to consume or whatever. And our podcast is out there on like all the major channels and everything. But like after doing a couple weeks on Pods, man, after doing the first week, I was like, dude, why am I even posting like the Spotify link and everything? Like, I feel like people have it, like who at this point who want it. But we're talking to mostly like a Web3 audience and everything. And like, also, like, what has Spotify like really done for us other than like, I don't know, probably put us in like a user-friendly like URL and send us some nice metrics periodically. We seem to be doing all right on it and everything. But I'm like, dude, just, having, whatever, roughly 25, 30 people collect our podcast after the first 2 episodes or whatever, I'm like, it just feels so much more right, man. Like, it's cool. I like the idea that, like, people who we talk about in the episodes are like, collecting some of them, I think. And I would do the same, man. I think, like, from a Web3 mentality, I'm like, if I was mentioned in someone's podcast and it was up there for a free claim or whatever, like, it's a no-brainer, man. I want that in my collection. That's cool. So I don't know. I think it's really cool, man. I'm glad you stumbled upon it.
Yeah, the mint really does feel so much more meaningful. Like, you can go into Anchor and we see like we get a couple hundred listens, but it's like, who are these listens from? Like, are they even real? Like, what does that even mean? Versus the mint where you see folks. And as a non-artist, like, never would have imagined people like collect our digital shit. Like, me speaking personally, you have way more collectors, but to see that, I'm like, oh shit, that does feel good. So that's been really cool. So yeah, again, we're thinking about all the things, and with like our top collectors, yeah, just get ready for some fun shit and check your wallet / check the spam wallet, like on OpenSea, uncover some shit that we're sending you.
Collect our shit so we can spam your wallet, but it'll be great. It'll be great spam. Rizzle and Matt spam. No, it's cool, man. I didn't realize. Say what you were saying again, man. You noticed that they're gaining some traction lately.
Yeah. So I'll share in the show notes, but Xerox Lucas just been sharing the Dune dashboard that they have hooked up to pods. So all the podcasts that have been releasing episodes weekly on there, you're just seeing like weekly mints, things like that, and it's going up. And for some of the pods, they actually have like a paid component. So instead of just free to claim like us, some people are actually charging for it. So you're seeing the on-chain revenue in real time go up and to the right, which is awesome. And it's just everyone likes to support everyone in the space and giving them ways to support, not just like throwing out links once a week, but throwing out links once a week and putting out a pod that people can collect and putting out like mirror posts that people can collect. It lets people collect and show their support however they want. So, and to be able to see that in real time on chain, it's just that didn't exist before, right?
Yeah. It's sort of like I don't know. Marble cards just popped into my head, man, because I'm like thinking about the mirror posts and I'm like thinking about the podcasts and everything that I'm like also collecting of ours. I collect the WIP posts and shit, and I'm like, it's almost like, and because I want those, right? I want to have those. What would I have done formerly? Probably bookmark it or something like that, and I never look at my bookmarks like ever, so it's like a totally pointless system or whatever. So it's cool that it's like in my wallet. I know I got it. I can search for it and everything, and that's sort of like how like what Marble Cards has done, like across like a lot of things, sort of function as that like placeholder or bookmark for like different content that you're interested across different places. But I don't know, man. It's interesting to see like NFT wallets like slowly evolve to become like this repository. And we always knew it was like gonna head in this direction, but like it took and still is taking like such a long time for like NFTs that aren't in like the main line of what people are focusing on to like gain traction. But now seeing my wallet start to evolve into not just a place where there's like art and experiments and projects going on, but now I have like, media content in there and like podcasts and, all these like, digital assets that we all knew were digital assets at the time, but there was still never, up until recently, like a way to actually easily turn them into digital assets or collect them or anything like that, man. So I think it's kind of cool, man. And I think the future looks dope where, you actually own these things and have them in your wallet and can aggregate and filter your stuff all in one place like that.
Yeah, it's the tokenization of some of these things. Really, it's like you zoom out and kind of scroll through the collection. You're looking at just like bookmark moments of your digital life, right? Like all the Fabiano Speziati and Patrizia designed voxel gifts that we get each week at the WIP. It's like, damn, I'm remembering each of the WIPs through those tokenized gifts that I can also like throw in as a wearable if I wanted to, right? With the post that Ray's putting out again, like you're getting an even clearer picture of those moments. Same thing with like these pods and everything else that we're collecting around here versus the traditional bookmark tab that like if you actually go back into the old like Web2 bookmark list, you're going to find a lot of dead links that you have no idea where it goes back to. And yeah, just having that part of your digital life a little bit more rock solid and like visual as you're going and scrolling through collections like that. It's an interesting way to experience and re-experience like your lived digital life, if that makes sense.
Yeah, dude. If you ever want to take like a virtual trip down memory lane, like scroll through some of your old PO-ops. I'm sure you're sitting on a whole bunch of them from stuff that we've done in prior events and everything like that. And that was also like I mean, I'm sure you don't see people using them as much anymore, or at least I don't. But they're in my wallet, and I'm glad that they are, because they're like just great reminders of like awesome times, like experiences that I've had in Web3, which is another like sort of cool thing to have in the pile of stuff in the wallet as well. But yeah, man, PO-ops sort of seem like I don't know, they I don't really know what happened with them, or maybe they're still being used a lot, but I don't really come across it too much.
Yeah, like ever since Sandy and Carolina kind of moved on, doing their own thing in their own neck of the woods. More like they were our PO-op folks, setting up PO-ops and doing that. I think now like the gifts that we're giving out that Fabiano and Patrizia are cooking up each week, they serve the same purpose. And I see other projects doing what are effectively PO-ops just in their own way, using their own contracts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's still there. And I think it's getting even stronger. The kind of come for this, take this tokenized thing as like a commemorative gift, whatever. And maybe PO-op is literally powering all of that, and we just have no idea.
Yeah. No, I agree though, man. I think the technology is there where it's very easy for people to essentially spin up and issue their own customized version of a PO-op, whatever that may be. And no offense to PO-ops, I love my PO-ops, but I'd take a Fabiano and Patrizia voxel wearable over a PO-op any day coming out of an event and everything. So yeah, I mean, we've definitely leveled up in terms of the caliber of what we're able to, distribute to our audience each week. But yeah, man, that they were like the thing for a while there, where you had an event, that was like a thing. Win PO-op. I'm pretty sure there's like some memes and some gifs out there that say exactly that, with like John Travolta looking around. But I don't know, man. It's interesting to see how like the space moves, but I like our more dynamic version that you show up somewhere, you get something a little bit more custom generally when people are giving away shit.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, dude, shout out Misfit Pixels, who made that killer WIP drone for Nifty Island. We're going to be giving a couple of those out this week at the WIP, and also been in conversation with Charles from Nifty Island, and he's going to be coming on the 21st, I believe, and so we're going to hang on to a bunch of them and make it rain WIP drones on the audience when we're in Nifty Island with Charles.
WIP drones and avatars, actually. Like we have a huge, this is kind of like a nice natural segue into the WIP this week, but Paradoxx has cooked up a WIP Tower Tournament is how they're calling it. We're going to have like 5 matches to the death. Excited about. But like we have, like you're saying, Misfit Pixel drone prizes and like these 0.15 ETH valued avatars. We scooped like 5 of those for prizes for folks. So yeah, and they look really dank. They look really good. So the prize pool this week is going to be sweet. And you already sort of touched on the other half of the show. So we have Stina Jones coming in, and I think she's going to be marbling her site, as far as I know. So yeah, Marble Cards is coming in, and yeah, a little nice way to kick off the show with Stina Jones, who's such an awesome artist. And I know like you've collected her for a long time, and also just longtime member of the WIP fam as well. Shows up to a bunch of shows. So excited to have her jump up on stage with us.
Yes, I'm like gonna try not to totally fanboy over Stina Jones. I have loved Stina Jones art since like the beginning of NFTs, man. Like she was one of when NFT, crypto art was like really just getting started or whatever. Stina, I feel like, and she wasn't alone, but there were only like a handful of people like Stina who were interested in focusing on like making just like cute, funny little simple creatures, funny eyeballs. Oh my God, dude, it like checks all the boxes. So like immediately when I started, becoming fascinated with NFTs and crypto art in general, I found Stina Jones and I was like, oh my God, Stina Jones is like my crypto art spirit animal. I love everything she puts out. So, dude, it's so awesome, man, to have her on the WIP. I think we have in the past, man, but it hasn't been for a long time, and it's great to have her back, and really cool that we're going to be making marble cards out of her site, man. You know I'm going to be right on top of that, like mashing create marble cards, because I definitely want me some Stina Jones marble cards. And we're also just like randomly talking about marble cards earlier, which sort of all coming around here. But yeah, man. So my understanding is that she's essentially like opening up her site for people to make marble cards of her stuff, which is awesome and incredible. And I may not quite have all the details correct. Johan's going to be there to help explain and show people what's going on and everything. But I am stoked. Needless to say, love Stina Jones. I have her like first super rare one. I've talked about this before, man. I felt like I robbed her. I like loved her work so much. She was like releasing stuff on super rare. I was like, I love your stuff. I only have like this much ETH. Would you like consider accepting, my bid or whatever? And she did. And I don't know. I have like some incredible OG Stina Jones artwork that would be very difficult for me to like ever part with. It's like some of my favorite stuff in my collection from like way back in the day. So that's me fanboying. I'll try and do it now and not at the WIP. Love Stina Jones. Yay.
Yeah, out of your system. No, but Stina was one of the artists that first caught my eye back in the day. Like it was really Miss Al Simpson, MLibT, Stina Jones, and Max Osiris. Like those four, like their art early on just like really sniped my sensibilities so strongly. And really helped pull me super far down the crypto art rabbit hole. So it's just so cool to see all of them like still doing their thing, still creating art, still pushing boundaries, and we get the good fortune to get them on our stage from time to time. Like speaking of Max was at the WIP last week.
Yeah, and he hates Discord, and he did it.
Yeah. Shout out to Elated Pixels. Damn, last week WIP was.
Oh yes,
that was. I mean, talk about vibes and talk about energy. Related's Jesus, man. Beating heartbeat of Cryptovoxels for sure.
Dude, oh my God. Last week's WIP was so good, dude. Mm-hmm. Like, honestly, I mean, I could have like cried. I was just so happy to hear like someone who wasn't there in the very beginning to come in with a fresh set of eyes and just clearly like really loved, appreciated, was fascinated by like all of the old like culture and cryptovoxels and everything, and to like and some of the stuff we had seen before. He's like in terms of the artists and everything, like a lot of us were familiar with them. When we were on the tour, we've heard of these people, we've seen some of their art before. He had set up his own spot, which is dope, and his own gallery and everything. But man, to get the tour from like that fresh set of eyes and hear like firsthand how amazing and incredible he thought all this stuff was, it just felt so good, man. And I made some comment in the Discord. I'm like, shit, dude, like this is like the person like we want, man. Like this is like the culture that we built all this shit for, and like the culture that like it produced all this stuff for people like that who think it's just as dope as we did, who just, came in a little bit later than we are. But man, it's so refreshing to hear from people who weren't there early days, to stumble upon all the stuff from then and just be blown away, because you and I both know it's an incredible history in the scene, like early on. That's like, the story still hasn't been like really properly told. And so for people to like organically find it and discover it and do their own homework and research and everything. I mean, it certainly helped that he was like singing our praises the entire time. I mean, that always
never hurts.
Good. But dude, I mean, it wasn't just us. It was like the whole community that he was really shouting out, like from start to finish, man. And Dude, yes, huge shout out to Elated Pixels, man. It's just so great to meet people who are just as passionate about this shit as we are.
Yeah, I mean, amen to that. And just the tour through Cryptovoxels was a nice throwback to all the early whips were just pretty much exclusively, with a few exceptions, in Cryptovoxels. And to go to the district we were in and all those galleries, it was just good times. Super, super good times.
Yeah. Oh man, it's great, man. I hope we get more of that, dude. Honestly, and we have like over the years. I don't know. Elated Pixels just really came in with like killer energy, and a lot of people do. I feel like I'm going through a lot of the WIP history as I've been talking about for the past several weeks now, and posting it on YouTube and coming across a lot of exactly what you said, man. Events hosted in Cryptovoxels. It was definitely the easiest place to get everybody into back in the day, even though we were breaking it and everything. And there's a couple like detours and field trips to Decentraland, but that was like primarily the spot. But anyway, what reminded me of that is speaking of great energy, man. I know you said we're circling back with Babe Beckner in a few weeks into Decentraland, and she's another one that I feel like, man, you hand the mic to her and you're just like, this is gonna be dope. Whatever's gonna happen here, just let her run with it, and it's great vibes from start to finish. So I don't know, man. Community's in a great state right now. I feel like we may not be expanding at exponential growth or whatever, but I feel like the vibe is tight, man. And like I said, man, some things simmering behind the scenes that people should get excited about.
Yeah, and the overall market is in a good place, which I think helps the vibes. Seeing more negativity on the art side, I think a lot of artists they want to sell more art than they currently are, but the overall market is booming. I mean, number is going up across the board on like everything. A lot of like shit meme coins, but also like the old tried and true crypto and crypto related projects really going up. So it's cool. It's really cool. It definitely feels like one of these level up moments. I hope people, just this is not financial advice, but like just if you need to scrape gains and profits, set targets accordingly, talk to your financial planners or just trust your instincts. But yeah, enjoy it. Enjoy the good times while they're here. It helps everyone just kind of like, this is why we stuck it out. Like on top of just being in it for like all the cool shit that we get to experience week in, week out. Like this is also that extra side benefit of being in a space that is like global internet money, always open and open to the whole world. And the fact that more people are coming in, or at least I don't know where the money's coming from, but regardless, everyone gets the benefit as long as you're part of it and kind of proactive and active.
Yeah, dude, I'd love to see the money cycle back into like crypto art and NFTs. And I've seen, discouraged artists and everything. I mean, it's tough, dude. I've seen that not just in artists too. You have a big run up like this, and if your thing, your art, your project, your whatever isn't, experiencing the same type of growth or whatever, you're like, oh shit, am I doing something wrong? What the fuck? Like everyone's, going to the moon and my shit is still like sitting there unsold or whatever. But dude, I was thinking about this the other day. I feel like, for NFTs, man, NFTs are really like sort of like the bastard stepchild, or I feel like looked at it in terms of like the larger crypto community. And, the mainstream crypto has been around for like a very long time now and is like pretty established. Altcoins have been around for a long time now, and even though like a lot of them aren't established and a lot of them are junk, like it's familiar territory for a lot of people. Same thing with DeFi, which is a little bit more new to the scene in general, but like it's been through a few cycles now. But this is really only like the second big like hype cycle where NFTs were really even like in the mix to a decent extent. So I feel like all those, it's got to pass through like all those things first before it ends up coming back to this scene, which I feel like is what happened last time around. It was sort of like everything was like going really well, and then finally like NFTs like sort of joined the party and everything. So I don't know, man. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But I feel like, yeah, man, you're seeing a lot of stuff like shoot up like across the board, but a lot of stuff that you think should have its day. And I think this cycle plays out for a while, man. And I like to think a lot of it, the stuff that deserves to get its day, regains the spotlight for a little bit.
Yeah. And I think it does help to have a longer term and more zoomed out perspective too. Like people are buying art. Like you're seeing some of these massive, massive sales, right? Not just on ordinals, where a lot of the energy obviously is, I would say, less so on art than just collecting. But you're seeing folks go in and like big Fidenza sales, Matt Cain having some big Gazer sales. But then even like new art and curators like 33 bringing in like Trevor Jones, Lucio Paletti, a few other folks, and having strong initial sales, like they're happening. And collectors like Basilius and Token Angels and everyone that loves to support artists, like they're still collecting. I think for a broader wave or inflow of monies directed towards collecting more artists, it's coming. It's coming. And as folks kind of scrape wins and get their position set and feel more comfy, that's where you're going to see all the collectors that have come into this space, I think, feel more comfortable to start collecting, like open up a bottle of nice wine or whatever they want to drink and sit down and start collecting. I know I have more tabs open these days. I've been focused more on like collecting Pindar von Arman, just everything that he's doing with like Reflections, his most recent collection, but pioneering reflective AI, and that was just effing fascinating. But it's coming, and it just, I think, incumbent on artists to keep doing you and creating art however you create it. Because once a collector falls in love with your art, like it's pretty much game over. And the fact that we have the slipperiest money known to mankind to spend, you're always so close to a sale. So just keep the chin up and keep creating.
Yeah, man, I really think this is like a space where consistency goes a long way too. People, and because the money is slippery, because there's so many like people and projects popping up and dipping out like so quickly. I think we're going to hit a point, if we haven't already, where reputation like really starts to matter, and people collecting from someone that they know isn't going to, disappear a couple months from now or something like that. I mean, there will always be like, that kind of speculation and everything, but I do feel like, the longer you stick around here, it's almost like you're putting more ping pong balls in the lottery bucket for yourself. And good things come the longer you're in the mix and stick around and that kind of thing. So I don't know, man. I love the art scene, man, just in general, and I've often thought of, here we have this, the first hype cycle, there's just not that much out there, and years have happened between now and then, and there's unlimited essentially art content out there. So it'll be interesting to see like how this all plays out. There's some old marketplace, async art, is no longer a thing anymore, but obviously those things live on. So you wonder how some of these like early art collections and galleries as they start to go different directions or shut down or whatever. I don't know. It's just going to be fascinating. It's like I feel like a whole new animal to the crypto ecosystem that is sort of going to take its own path.
Yeah. And I think the speed at which people are collecting art, like you're not in the mania of 2021 where everyone's just like, oh my God, just more expensive, just hoarding everything. Now you're seeing folks be more selective. And like to your point with async art, I saw a few rabbles, X-copy mints from his async work, have some nice secondary sales. And each of those kind of sales, obviously for X-copy is like a big thing, and everyone's like, oh, it's X-copy, not me. But what those sales tend to help is discovery of adjacent mints on those platforms. So if you think of like those bigger sales as lightning strikes, they illuminate the surrounding mints there. So you're like, oh, where is this rabble from? Minted where? Async art, what's async? And then you can still surface and find all the other artists that had minted there and all the other history there. So again, that doesn't necessarily translate to an immediate purchase by other collectors, but it's really helpful for collectors
To kind of go in and then
discover everything that's around there. And that collecting process is unique to each collector, but it's something that common thread of like finding more, like going down an avenue that you hadn't thought of, going to a marketplace that you haven't visited for a while. I'm doing that personally more, and I know I'm not like a unique flower in this space, so I'm excited to see other collectors start to pull the trigger more and more and bring more artists or new artists into their collections and see all of that expand.
No, dude, that's a great analogy, man. With the lightning strike sort of illuminating the things around it, it immediately made me think of the big autoglyph sale from a week or two ago or whatever. And then like suddenly on-chain things are like thrust into the forefront of the conversation, and people are like, "Oh, what the hell is this? That's the interesting thing about this." And I'm like, well, welcome back. I helped launch Avastars. Check out my on-chain shit. But for a minute there, like that was exactly that, right? Like it was sort of a lightning strike in the direction of on-chain things, and then there was just a lot of just people talking about on-chain stuff, like what is on-chain, what's not on-chain, what are interesting early projects on-chain, and like sort of fueled that whole discussion and everything. So yeah, man, and I think we see more of that as time goes on, especially with some of the early stuff, like you were saying, async and everything. I feel like that's like a really interesting example of like sort of like a legacy collection in its own right, from like a time capsule of experimentation that is sort of a closed loop right now and just sort of out in the wild and everything. So there are a lot of those in like different varieties and forms and everything. I don't know, it's really cool, man. It's cool to see like those kind of lightning strikes and people sort of get some of that spillover accolades.
Yeah. But I was gonna pull on that on-chain thread over on Firecaster, like Jesse Pollock, dude at Base, Coinbase, that whole thing. They're really pushing on-chain as like the new Web3, aka new crypto, which I kind of subscribe for. I don't think it applies as uniformly across the board as they expect. I think they're pretty, to be blunt, dumb when it comes to like art conversations and things like that. And they're like, hey, NFTs they're just on-chain art. And it's like, no, that's quite a specific subsector within digital art and crypto art and all that good stuff. But I'm broadly on board for referring to a lot of what's going on here as on-chain. As we were talking about like at the start of the show with the fact that our podcasts now are on-chain, right? In terms of what people can collect and things like that. That's definitely, it feels like the trend on-chain feels fresher, I think. It sort of hammers home the point of what we're doing and where these things, where the data a lot of times lies. So it's a cool trend to see. And the conversation's been picking up steam over on Farcaster there and spilling out into the broader space too.
Yes. The term has definitely been like gentrified from going to mean like everything fully on the blockchain to like it is just something that points to the blockchain in like any capacity or whatever.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm like, and they made it a point to say like, the term on chain should be used or is best used with no hyphen or space or whatever, is like all one word. I'm like, dude, I'm pretty fucking sure that I coined that term like with the no hyphen and space, and maybe not the first one to ever write it that way, man. But like, I made it. I remember having this conversation like early on with Jim when we were talking about pushing out stuff for Avastars and everything, and we were going back and forth like, who's hyphenating it, who's putting a space in between it, should it just be all one word? And we did like a little bit of everything, and then eventually I was just like, fuck it, man, I'm just gonna make it all one word. I like it better that way, and it could mean like fully on chain. And then I like started the on-chain gang like immediately upon Avastar's launch and everything. And I'm pretty sure, man, I hate saying the first because someone will like always debunk that, but I'd be hard pressed to find anyone who's like pushing that term into existence much earlier than I was.
You and Jim are the top two when I think about like on-chain gang and on-chainness and just talking about and bringing the conversation to focus on what is on-chain versus what's not. Like both of you are leaders there, in my personal opinion. But yeah, we can say that Rizzle is first.
Yeah, put it in the Rizzle news, man. I'm just gonna claim first until someone debunks it.
Yeah, but no, it's cool, and it looks better when
It
there's
does
no
look.
hype and there's no space. It's sort of like crypto art back in the day. People were like, is it one word? Is it two words separated by a space? Is there a hyphen in there? I just think it looks better when it's all combined. Personally, it feels more authentic to just mash it together, and it's easier to type, and it saves space on posts, which like everyone has constraints. So yeah,
Yeah,
no,
and it really is like its own term that sort of like is its own, indicates its own thing. So no, I like it, man. I mean, that was the logic back in the day. It was just like it's too confusing. It's all one word. That's it. But yeah, man, I don't know. It's so crazy, dude. Every now and again, like I feel like something we did or something said or someone something the community did like way back in the day suddenly gets like resurfaced by like a big brand or whatever. Actually bring up like a sore topic for art or die or whatever, but I saw that like Beeple is doing art battles or something like that, and I was like, the fuck, art or die? And then people were like, acting like this has never been done before or whatever. I'm like, dude, art or die has been like, battling art in Decentraland forever, man. Like we've been in there battling art with them. But suddenly you see something like this, like redone or said by someone like very, very prominent within the space, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, what a great idea! Like this is, so cool." Something. It's like, dude, we did that. I feel like that's like the common mantra. It's like, dude, we did that. We did that. We've been doing that. We did that. We did that. That's not new. We did that.
yeah, no, it's funny how things work out. But again, like as long as like what we're doing has that on-chain connection too, it's easy to throw, and the blockchain don't lie. So I think that just it's even more. It lends for a lot of people that aren't understanding why you would do anything on chain, like why write on chain, why publish on chain, things like this. Like this is where like moments when you're like, oh, I did that, I had that thought, I shared that. It was like other people know that too, and you can point to something more readily. That shit, it's powerful. It means things, and yeah, as history is like this moment in time, as it becomes history, the more of this moment that is on chain just helps retell that history in a more authentic way, in a more accurate way. So even if like the Beeples of the world help really promulgate something and bring something into focus for folks that may have not heard of like art or die, right? The fact that you can talk about Beeple and then in the next breath, oh, but then here's art or die who's been doing art battles and Decentraland, and you can see those linkages throughout time.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
dude,
huge.
100%. And oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, yes, you're preaching the choir, man, and not saying that this would happen to Art or Die specifically, man, but I really feel like that is the only reason that we haven't been or will not be completely written out of the history books of the entire space here, because we can point to that and have that. Otherwise, I feel like that's like common protocol when the big players come into the scene, this sort of gentrified the space and rebranded under their own packaging and everything, but we got that to point back to, man, and I feel like it's just such a great flex, man, that I hope more people start pointing towards those things and using that as just sort of a focal point or whatever. Like you said, man, battling art or battling anything isn't like going to go away. I mean, we like battles, right? And I'm sure it's been done by other people too. But again, man, like lightning strike type of situation, that illuminated the fact that art or die has been doing this for a while. And but I don't know how much weight that holds in general situations unless you have the blockchain to point towards to prove it. Otherwise, it's a lot of like he said, she said, yeah, everyone says they did it before or whatever. But that irrefutable proof, man, I feel like is why this whole movement or whatever you want to call it sort of hits differently and ends differently.
Boom. Yeah. No, I couldn't have said it better.
Woot.
Yeah, dude, I think that's
Yeah,
it. I've been taking notes to send your way. I can't wait to see the output for what you create based on like what we talked about here. I feel like on-chain lightning strike or gentrification. A bunch of good shit that we talked about.
Hell yeah.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah, man. Stoked for the whip. I got my fanboying out of the way, or at least most of it. I making no promises, but really stoked for this one tomorrow. So yeah, man. I will see you there.
All right. Well, shout out to Dragonate's mom, Easy in Crypto. Jose Cabrera I saw earlier too. Checking in, listening to the early Mars recording. Love y'all. And see y'all in the metaverse tomorrow. The
Hey,
Whip.
y'all.
Peace, y'all.